Sarah. All day. Hell yeah.
Armwrestling's about to take place.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to see that we're going to get to see Dave against your father. And
Yeah.
Now, do you think it's going to be a different match, considering that first one went in WAL with the bigger pads and different rule set? Do you think that's going to change anything?
I honestly think might be worse for Dave this time. Like last time, it was quite a close match. It ended, I think, 3-2, but one of them was on fouls. I might be wrong there. I'm not sure.
I think it was
But
3-1, I believe.
3-1. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3-1. And then they called off the first pin. I think it was. It was weird, but I think it might be 3-1 again, but a little bit different this time because like back then, back in WL days, my dad wasn't nearly as big as he is now. Not even close. He's a lot bigger. His King's move was a lot nicer than it was back then. Like he was just starting a King's move back in those days. Like he was good at it back then, but now he's way better. And I feel like his hand control will just be too much for Dave. It'll be way too much. Although Dave's like horsepower is just incredible. Like even watching this last match with Revaz, Revaz would just take his hand and then Dave had nothing. Like he couldn't do anything about it. He couldn't slip from him. He couldn't do anything. So I think he might have just enough to get the first one, but after that, his wrist is going to crack. And Dave's flop, I don't think is as incredible as like Jerry's or Gennadi's or anybody's flop like that. So I think it'll be 3-1 likely.
What did you think? Were you surprised with that Revas match against Dave? Did you think that Revas was going to do what he did to Dave?
Man, that match, that blew my mind. I had no idea what to think. I thought Dave was going to 3-0 him. I thought Dave was going to beat him with almost no problem. Like I was looking at Revas's previous matches, like when he pulled Michael, he looked like his center power wasn't like anything crazy. And Dave is known for having just incredible power off the go. And I thought it was going to be too much for Revas. I thought he was going to drill him 3-0. That's how I predicted it. And I couldn't be more wrong. Revas just murdered him. It was incredible. That was so dominant in everything he did. So I was so shocked.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. I thought Dave was going to get the win, but I thought it was going to be a very, very close match. I actually thought it was going to be a war, and I got to meet Revas in person. And when you get to see him in person, you could really see the size of this man. This dude is a monster. But if Dave was 100% healthy, just because there's a rumor going around that he might have had like a neck injury going into this match, we're not making up any excuses because I don't think it really would have changed anything on how dominating Revas did. But it's got to make me think, if Dave was 100%, I think this dude Revas, not only will be in the top 5 in the world right now, but he might be ready for Levon if he did it that easily. What is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so if you watch Dave and Levon and you watch Dave and Revas, Revas beat Dave easier than Levon did. It was incredible. He just showed so much domination and explosiveness. And honestly, like I don't know where to put him. I don't know where to put him at all. I think a match with Hermes would be great for Revas, and then that would be much better judge of where to put him. Because if Hermes just dusts him, then we know it was some weird fluke. But if it's a close match, then maybe he could go after Levon.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely was very impressed with Revas. Now, back to the match with your father and Dave. I know in that first encounter, your father relied on the King's move. Now, with them pulling King a table and them being a little stricter than the WAL as far as using the King's move and shoulder going under the table, do you think that your father is going to utilize the King's move, or you think he's going to try staying away from that?
I think that the King's move is a very likely endpoint, but if he doesn't have to, I think he'll try to top roll him, but likely Dave will have too much side pressure and power to keep him standing. So very likely he'll try to top roll and then he'll get opened into King's move. But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see how it goes. Really, I'm predicting King's move first round, and he'll just be too much, and Dave will get him all the way down. But then after that, he'll start sticking them higher and higher and higher. And as the rounds progress, less and less of a King's move, more of just like center top roll. So that's what I'm thinking.
Now, do you see your father changing his approach in his training at all? You know, suffering this loss against Gennady, do you think he's going to go back to the drawing board and switch things up, or do you think he's going to keep the same exact training and continue on?
I think he'll keep very similar training, but I think he'll just implement a couple other things. I think this taught him that there's a couple things he might need to train a little bit more, like that supination, the cup as well. Although he does train them, but if he's having the rematch with Gennady, that's where he needs to beat him. He knows the hand control was no issue, so he's just got to get stronger inside. So coming up for the Gennady match, I think he'll train totally different. But against Dave, I think he's going to keep this training he's still been doing, still the thumb training, still all those different things. And I don't see this loss really changing a lot of the stuff he's doing. I think it was he made a bunch of mistakes and he knows that. And I don't see the training changing much.
Now, give me an idea of how many hours a day do you say your father's training for arm wrestling?
It's significant when he's doing match prep, when it's like it's coming up and he's getting ready. It's nuts. So I'll go to school and I'll come back and he'll be training, and he'll train like all the way till like dinner time, and then we'll eat and then we'll do it, and then he'll train again. And it's like basically he's always training. I'd say he's probably training about half the time he's awake. I would think. Like he'll train for an hour, he'll not train for an hour, train for another hour, and it's just crazy. The pace is just insane. So basically, always the answer is always.
Now, does it change the energy in your house when he's in a training camp getting ready for a match? Or is it pretty much, Devon's just always training year round, nothing really changes? Or do things significantly change when there's an actual match on the line?
I would say nothing really changes. He's so consistent with his training that no matter if he's got a match coming in 6 months, in 1 month, the training's the same. Unless he's tapering, where he's just like calming down and everything, that's the only time his training changes. Other than that, he's going hard year round.
Okay. And what about your mom? How about Jody and her training? Is she still arm wrestling these days? Does she do any training?
Yeah, so she's actually getting back into it. There was a while where she wasn't doing a lot. She hurt herself in WL a long time ago, and that set her back a lot. But she's getting back into it. She started weightlifting again, like actually significantly training more than she used to. And it hasn't been a long time where she's been doing that, but it's coming along. So hopefully we'll see her back on the table at some point. That would be a lot of fun to see her compete again, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Now, does mom go to the practice with you guys, or does she have her own training partners? How does that all work out?
So yeah, she comes to practice with us. It's not every time. She doesn't come every time that we go, but she goes a fair good amount of them. But yeah, it's she has her own training partners at the club. She doesn't just pull with everybody. She'll go with people her level or a couple different people she's training up as well. But yeah, so she's really getting back into it and doing similar stuff that we are.
So I seen a video, I think this was probably like 6 months to like a year back, and it had Nancy Locke coming out to visit you guys, and she got on the table with you. I think got a couple million views and all. So did Jody and Nancy get the grip up at all that day?
No, I don't think so. I think that was just my dad and I. We were down at Mooney's Bay, if I'm correct about that one. It's it's a nice beach spot. And that was the day where I was arm wrestling for like 3 hours straight, just random people on the beach. And then she showed up and I'm like, man, this is so exciting. And yeah, so she was incredible, but I don't think my mom and her got to grip up. I don't know how that match would go. I don't remember exactly how strong Nancy was. I remember she was quite impressive, but it'd be an interesting match, I think. I think it would be cool to see, but who knows? Who knows? Yeah.
The reason why I bring up Nancy is Nancy lives by me over in California, and that's who actually got me first into arm wrestling. Her and her husband, Eric Waffel. I was training at the local gym over there, and I ran into them. They seen me being in one of my beast mode sessions. So they're like, oh, you're a very strong person. Why don't you come over our house? We throw practices on Sundays for arm wrestling. And I just looked at him like, arm wrestling? I was like, that's even a thing? Like, what are you guys even talking about? She's like, yeah, come through, whatever. So I actually had one of my boys from New York in visiting. And I looked at him. I'm like, you want to go arm wrestling? He's like, yeah, you know what? Let's go try it out. So we went out there on the Sunday over to their house. And Nancy was the first person I got on the table. And just to give you guys a little context, Nancy's probably about 5'3", 5'4", probably 125 pounds soaking wet, and me, I live in the gym, was training 2-3 times a day. I was a bodybuilder, 25 years. So when I got on the table with her, I'm looking at her, I'm like, oh, I don't want to hurt her or anything. Next thing I know, boom, she just brings me right into a hook. I didn't even know what the hell was going on. Next thing I'm pinned and my mouth is dropped. I'm looking at my boy. He's like, yo, did that girl just pin you? And I'm like, bro, that was insane. You try. So he got up and same exact thing. She just pinned it. So we both went home with our tail between our legs, ego beating down and all. And they gave us their names that day, and they said, yeah, Google us and whatever. So we went home that night. Both of us started Googling them up, and it made us feel a lot better finding out that she's a world champion and Eric was one of the best left hands to ever live. So it kind of saved my ego a little, but I got to say from that day, I literally was hooked, and, I didn't miss no practice. I was at every Sunday at their house. And it took me a good month or so to finally beat Nancy, but that was like my first obstacle in arm wrestling world. And, so when I see Nancy going out by you and everything, I was like, it just brought back some memories. And I was like, that was pretty cool.